Family, welcome back to the show's Adam Jam, broadcasting on 98.5 The Wire in Orlando, Florida, 103.7 The Beat, Muskegon, Michigan, Power 105.3 Ben Harbor, Michigan. We are joined, got a very special guest, Big Rod. This guy's a big timer, bro, celebrity, brother. Marquis McKenzie's in the building. Florida Rights Restoration and the Dirt Masters, the CEO of the Dirt Master. Marquis, how you doing today, man?
I'm blessed, man. It's always a wonderful feeling to be in conversation with you guys.
Man, good to have you. We talk. It's all about election and all about the returning citizens having an impact on the upcoming election. You being a brother who came home and you've been able to vote in the last 3 election cycle. What do you think is going to happen this upcoming year because of the big push to get our brothers and sisters registered?
Right. Well, the biggest thing I'm definitely going to say is going to happen is that, I think mostly every returned citizen that registered to vote is going to show up to the polls. One of our biggest things, we don't care which way they're voting, how they're voting, and who they're voting for, but just showing increase that if you give somebody a second chance that they can take control of their opportunity. So that's what we're looking for, to make sure that those returned citizens are showing up. And from the conversations that we're having, a lot of them are going to show up to the polls and register.
How big impact you think is going to be? Because for Florida, we're seeing a huge increase of first-time voters because of the amendment that was passed.
Right. So, the voting right, when we passed Amendment 4, it restored voting rights to 1.4 million returning citizens across the state of Florida, right? But out of that 1.4, still has 750,000 individuals that owe fines and fees. But it's still a large amount of individuals who don't owe fines and fees. Right now, since Amendment 4, I want to say it's about 30, and I could be underpricing, but about 30,000 people who are registered to vote. But all in general across the state, it's about 150,000 returning citizens that are eligible to vote. And hopefully they can show up to the polls here and register and vote.
Now, you have been part of a movement for a long time, but recently you guys have been raising money so that returning citizens can pay their fines and fees, right?
Correct.
And when we got this up on the screen, in Miami-Dade, you guys raised $7 million to take care of the fines and fees of those returning citizens. How many people did that impact?
So mostly from doing a lot of the research, when we look at the numbers from the range of people that owe the fines and fees, the average is roughly, and the highest we've seen is about 2,200, but the average is around $1,000. That we're seeing most people is having fines fees, so you do that, it's roughly around like 7,000 people that you're helping that can help with.
Man, that is made, and not only you guys just didn't do Miami-Dade, you guys was you were all over the state of Florida. It was 2 million. That was to, I don't know which county this is. But
I think that picture in particular was when we actually reached out to, that was an announcement saying that we had paid off $2 million in fines and fees just in general across the state of Florida. So that's what that picture was right there.
Man, and to my understanding, you guys had a lot of celebrities who kind of like started making donations. Just everyday people start chipping in, right?
Right. So altogether, we're proud to say that we have over 60,000 people that have donated to the fines and fees department, whether it was celebrities and it was just normal people that believe that, returning citizens should be a part of the democracy.
60,000?
60,000 individuals.
Woo. Wow.
Wow.
But you
That
know,
is
and the best thing about it, Paul, when you look at, you know what I'm saying, you talk about the fines and fees. One of the very important things that we like to uplift, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? You know, and it's hurt a lot of people economically. But when you think about our court systems, you know, an article went out recently that the state of Florida, our court system has lost about $60 million alone, because of the pandemic, because stuff being shut down, people not having jobs, so the money is not flowing. And when you talk about that, when money's getting lost in these large establishments, it's like the courthouse, you know, budgets start to get shifted around, right? You know, funds get took out, you know, certain, you know, you may have team court, you may have diversion programs that a lot of that money need to get allocated to somewhere else to keep the department or that courthouse running. So us having that fines and fees is helping the court systems to keep that money don't have to get taken to those different areas, that we can keep those programs going, because those other programs closed can hurt a lot of more people inside those counties. Not only that, you know, we have a county in particular in Florida that asks, you know, their local government to raise the taxes on the community, and then that's going to hurt the community more because we're in a pandemic. So us being able to have this fines and fees, it's not just about us restoring the voting rights to other people. We're looking at the picture of whole and how can we impact the community and not just one population, but how can we impact the whole community.
amazing. Marquis McKenzie here, out of Orlando, Florida. You went to prison as a juvenile, and when you got out of prison, you couldn't vote, right?
Yep. I actually lost my voting rights before I even had them, Paul, because in the state of Florida, you can pre-register at the age of 16. I lost mine at the age of 15, so I lost them before I even had them.
Wow.
Brutal, man. So how long did it take you before you got the rights to vote?
If it wasn't from Amendment 4, I still would have been waiting for the clemency process. But because of Amendment 4, I was able to get them. Amendment 4 passed in 2018, January 8th, 2019. I went ahead and registered, and I voted in the primaries, the local primaries, for the first time in 2019. In my second time, I voted into to this year. This is going to be my first presidential race I get to vote.
Major, man. And I know you and good brothers like Miles Moraine been out speaking in the community, trying to empower, educate folks. What's that been like, man?
So this year, we first time we started Engage. We had an opportunity to use Engage as a platform when we practiced with the state attorney race. It was all about just educating the community. One of the things we realized, Paul, our community do want to vote. They just don't know how to vote. And when they don't know how to do something, people that's just not with voting, but anything, they square away from it. So what Engage stands for is educating new generations, always growing the elections. Miles had this crazy theory that, you know, if we can start engaging people as early as age of 16, then we can start to get every population job. Because if you look at the Democrats and you look at every politician here in Orlando, I'm pretty sure it's like that everywhere. Almost every politician that we have, which is not wrong, but and sometimes it could be, every politician is old enough to be my grandparents. So it's a big disconnect between my age and under, because some of their issues that they're trying to fix, it may not resonate with my generation and younger, or the message of how they put things out. My generation may take it a different ways, but if it allowed everybody to be a part of this whole process, then, you know, I think the election can start growing, right? So
Right.
what we want to do with Engage is, we know that the low propensity areas where a lot of our communities get underserved. So we want to take 5 high school kids from 5 schools here in Orlando. So you got Evans, Jones, Oak Ridge, Parker, and Wachovia, where our low propensity area communities are. We want to take these kids to a paid summer program. I'm big on sanitizing people. I think you can get a lot of stuff done by sanitizing people, right? We teach the kids about the polls. We teach them how to do voter registration. We let them learn about all parties, you know, the difference between the parties before they let them choose whatever they want to do. Fly them out to D.C., don't see the White House. Take them to Tallahassee, let them see the Capitol, right? And when the summer is over, you keep them on as a full-time employee, and you send them back to school and task them with the job to pre-register other youth, because you can pre-register at the age of 16, right? Mm-hmm. So when that's over, when it's time for November, we have a mock election. 2 of the kids run for president, 2 run for mayor, 2 of them run for commissioner, and we create a poll where they have to get their friends and family to go on that poll and vote for them. Then at that, we have a watch party, and you continue to do that cycle over. And at a certain age, what I found is that when these kids graduate high school, they go to college, but by the time they're the age of 25, 26, those should be our commissioners, because we have that population of generation engaged. And the people that's a little older should probably be our mayors, and the people that's a little older than that should be in our state capitals, and run it down. And you keep that cycle.
Wow.
And you know it, you got every generation a part of the process. But right now, we don't have that. It's like we're telling the kids that we want them to go out and vote, but we're not allowing them to lead the voting initiatives, or they're too young to lead that. Well, my generation is not going to take what the older generation is telling them, because
Right.
they're just not going to listen to it, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about, in our communities, we've been doing souls to the polls for years. But if you think about it, souls to the polls only capture our grandmothers and our aunts that goes to church. But if we start to do stuff that's different from souls to the polls, where we bring in local artists to the community that these kids like, maybe the message can go out. I can't tell them to go vote, but if you got somebody like Rod Wave or NBA Youngboy, they say go out and vote, they may listen to that and go do it because they think it's cool, because they favorite artists. So we got to find different initiatives to make sure that it's a pleasing to all crowds and not just one crowd, if we want to change the outlook on things in the community.
Marquis McKenzie, Tavares McCurdy, recently state representative-elect for Orlando, said Marquis McKenzie is a gem in this community, wonderful example of what perseverance and focus can do. And he's a great example, because he's a young man. He just got elected.
We got him in there.
Real deal.
That's another example, getting somebody fresh in there that understands. Even Bakari Burns just got elected. It was great to have a new, fresh somebody that's a little younger and understand the dynamics of the community. So I'm glad for both of those brothers. And even before they got elected, those guys was on the ground doing a lot of work and connecting with the community. So I appreciate them definitely. Bracy is another good one as well. So we just got to kind of uplift our people and make it happen with them.
See over there rapping, doing spoken words and everything.
I missed that event. I'm mad I missed that event.
Right. The Versus event, him and McCurdy together, man. What are some of the issues that returning citizens are facing and that our politicians need to look at?
The biggest one part, I would say jobs, but I think if you really want a job, you can find a job. So I can't even say job anymore. But the biggest issue that we're looking at is housing. In the state of Florida, if you got a felony conviction, you can't rent. And not everybody is ready for home buying. That is a process, right?
Right.
But, I've been home about 12 years, Paul, and I still can't put my name on the rent application. And that's the issue. That's 12 years. That's one of the biggest issues. Not everybody want to go to rooming houses. A lot of people got family, they got kids, and they want their space. And I think we really need to tackle the issue when it comes down to housing. And we've been pushing the county very hard on it. Haven't got too much support. And the city, we've been in conversation with the city, and hopefully I can get assigned to this affordable housing task force here with the city of Orlando, so we can start addressing some of these needs at table. But that's the biggest one in the state of Florida. We need housing for returning citizens.
To folks who are not in Central Florida right now who are watching this, let them know how high rent is and mortgages is in Orlando.
Man, depending on where you're going, well, I can't even say that now. You even got, if you ain't, even in the projects, sometimes they trying to take the rent out. But a 1-bedroom, depending on where you at, can be anywhere from $1,500, and above. So imagine somebody that's trying to get a 3-bedroom. What they're trying to cost. And we're doing a lot of, building. The city is growing. And we see that a lot of people, as the city is growing, prices is going crazy. And I think, that's another thing we got to make sure that if the city is going to grow, we got to have opportunities for the residents of the city to grow as well, and don't leave them behind. Yeah.
Pretty amazing, man. You're doing a lot. And I hope this is encouraging folks who are watching and listening on radio, that you don't have to get out of prison and sit dormant. You started your own business, and you've been able to mentor other folks and give them jobs to work with you on projects, right?
Definitely. One of the biggest projects. So I was the project manager, and I definitely got to give a shout out to Heavenly Hearts Cleaning Services. She's been running a cleaning business for about 20 years. She's seen that I was a good candidate, and she gave me the opportunity to be the project manager. She had the contract for UCF that they just built on Paramore. And as me as project manager, mostly everybody that ran, that was on the crew lead, came from the Federal Halfway House, right? And for me, seeing that opportunity and seeing that the construction field is friendly to people that's come out of the system, it made me strictly want to shut my business down and go straight to construction cleaning, right? Because I know at sometimes having a cleaning business, I done been in banks, I done been in restaurants, and sometimes some people have to be cautious, but I don't want to have to be cautious every time. I might well just get into an industry that I don't have to worry about anything. So I switched over to completely construction cleaning, and now what we're going to be doing is working on new renovation homes, working with some very great developers. And what I'm going to do is be hiring the guys out of the Department of Corrections from the Rape Release Center. Have a great relationship with them. We haven't got it on paper yet, but we got it. We had a word conversation that they can move forward and we can prove I can hire them at the Rape Release Center. That gives me the opportunity to give back to the population that I came from. But it also gives me opportunity to say that I can handle any workload, because at any given time I got anywhere from 10 to 100 guys just ready to do some work. So we can go across the state of Florida and we can start to show people that if you give somebody a second chance, that they can really take care of that opportunity. So I'm just trying to give back to my population, Paul, and inspire those guys as much as I could, and show other people that we can do the same thing. Not everybody that has a felony conviction is who they was when they committed that crime, or who they was before that time was.
Wow. When you hear folks say they're not voting and they're registered to vote, or they're eligible to vote, but they're not voting, what comes to your mind?
The first thing that comes to mind is probably they don't know, right? And I think, and before you can get mad at somebody, I think you need to understand where they're coming from. So I don't try to argue with anybody. I just ask them, like, is there any particular reason why? And the first thing when somebody says something, the first thing I get out of most people is that, man, the president did nothing for me, or we voted for Obama and this ain't happened. So when you listen first, which I think is very important, you get they're most thinking about is the presidential. And that's how I get the wing of men. It was like, well, that I'm talking about, a local elections. That, we elect the judges. Know that the sheriffs, control the jails. And when you start putting stuff like that, like, were you happy with the judge that sentenced you? Did you feel like he was over sentenced? Did you feel like, they was racist? When you start talking about them on a local level, that's when the conversation started changing. But most of the people, from what I've seen, they only don't vote, or they think about presidential, and they don't know how impactful the local elections are and what changes that can be made. So that's when I take that opportunity to talk about local elections. I'm not telling people not to vote in the presidential election. I think you should vote in every election. But the most important, if you want to see change, I think you have to drill down on local elections and the impact they can make.
Right. You guys haven't lined yourself up with any political party, have you?
Definitely not. We don't care if you're Republican, we don't care if you're Democrat, we don't care if you're non-party affiliation. We just want you to go out there and vote. And we don't lean right, we don't lean left, we lean forward. Anybody that's going to do the right thing, make sure that they can break these barriers down for returning citizens, we willing to have a conversation with them. And any politician that's not, we just tell them we'll meet them at the voting polls. So.
Are the politicians talking to y'all? Are they talking?
I mean, you have various people that, the best thing about it, for Paul, it was supported by all walks of life, both sides of the parties. And we have a lot of interesting conversations with everybody. I can definitely say that, a lot of people have, a lot of people put people over politics, and a lot of people put politics over people. But the people that are public servants and not politicians, we definitely love and enjoy those conversations with the people who want to serve.
Pretty impressive, though, Rob. Ain't it, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I hope this is going on in every state. What you guys been able to do in Florida, I hope that movement is happening in every state. That's how we're gonna have change.
And if you go to Florida Rights Restoration Coalition website pages, there's a lot of different organizations that's doing the same thing that we're doing in other states. May not be seen, and some of them are doing some things bigger than we ever did. But if you go on our webpage, we do have partners in other states that are doing different things. Of course, it's not Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, but they are coalition partners. So it's a lot of stuff that we're changing across the states and different other states. Not up under our name, but again, it's a lot of stuff that's getting done in other states.
You guys have John Legend, been a big advocate for Florida Rights Restoration. How did that relationship develop?
I'll be lying. That's something
Desmond, the big dog.
But what I would say about John Legend, that was a genuine relationship. Sometimes stuff happen because of money or people want public publicity. that was honestly a genuine relationship that was built, and everything he does for us is from the heart. So I can honestly say that, and I've met him in person. You could tell the difference, my discernment. You could tell if somebody wants to do something or they're being paid to do it. This is something that he does on the heart, and we appreciate him a lot.
He came to your old high school and
Definitely.
played. You know what I mean? Just to get people rallied up for election, man. I know that had to be a good feeling.
It definitely, especially seeing one of the biggest things, Paul, seeing all of those youth that was engaged. That just shows me that, we have to do something because they want to be a part of it. And not only that, a lot of those kids, they parents, they brothers, they live in a household with people that are returning citizens. So for them to see that something that was so close to them in their backyard, that was a big thing to them. We continue to do more stuff. Hopefully as the chapter coordinator for Florida Rights Restoration Coalition after the elections in January, I will start a youth department for our organization because I want our youth to be involved. It's even statistically proven when you have youth go out and have a conversation with the community, that the community responds more before they respond in the other age demographic.
It's real. All right, man. Shout out your business, man. How people can connect with you, those who might not know your information.
Definitely. So again, it's the Dirt Master LLC. The website is www.thedirtmasters with an S.com. On Facebook, the Dirt Master LLC. Of course, my number, you can more than welcome to give me a call at 407-406-9640. And again, we're just here to serve the community the best way we could and continue to grow.
Wow. It's an honor to know you. Proud of you, brother. Glad of that journey. And I can never get enough of hearing your story.
Appreciate it.
How you changed your life. You and Big Rob. I mean, Big Rob didn't say too much, but this brother changed his life.
Definitely.
And I take pride in our different organizations that I'm allowed to lead, that I believe in giving ex-felons, returning citizens an opportunity, man. Some of our best workers are these brothers and sisters who might have made those small mistakes along the way.
And if they want to make change, what we've seen, Paul, give a lot of return opportunity, especially a lot of these issues that's impacting returning citizens. When you talk about the reentry system, what I'm saying? I'm glad, and I have to give a shout out to the Central Florida Reentry Network team that consists of Orange County, Osceola County, Sonoma County, and Coleman Federal Prison. They understand that they can't lead these initiatives by themselves and that they need a returning citizen at the table. Give us the opportunity. If you want to solve some of these issues, you want to change the community, the dynamics of the community, to knock some of this crime down, give the people that's from those streets and been in those situations an opportunity to lead some of these initiatives and be at your table. Don't let some stuff get heated and you can't control it. Call us up again. We could be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got to talk, since you went there, the violence in West Orlando, Pine Hills, West Orlando seems to be some type of gang situation going on. What's your opinion about all that?
Well, my opinion, Paul, if you ask me, is that nothing is new under the sun. I think this stuff was happening before my age. How I look at it and just being transparent. It was happening in my generation. It happened in times. Some of them gonna make it. Just being straight. And I talk to the boys at the jail like this. Some of y'all gonna make it. Some of y'all gonna catch a life sentence, and some of y'all gonna have the opportunity to change your life, right? But I think because sometimes you can teach and preach to them as much as you can and tell them to stop, but they're gonna make their own decision. But it doesn't stop us as a community to try to find different ways, to help them. And I remember a couple of years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I got mad about the city and the county for doing guns for shoes in our community. And as I looked around, they only did guns for shoes in the Central Florida area, the West Orlando side. And I was like, I won't turn in a gun for a pair of shoes at all, because I can go out and rob somebody and I can go get 6, 7 pair of shoes. And I gave the county an opportunity to say, hey, look, here's a proposal that I did. This is guns for jobs. Let's offer them some type of job for that gun. Because when you think about it, these kids, and I did it when I was out here, we was out here for one reason, for money. And if we could give them an opportunity to make some legitimate money, show them other ways to make money, show them how to start a business, if we just invest them in a little bit more, some of this stuff can go down. And then at the end of the day, the ones who don't want, that's what we got a system for. They just have to go through the system, but we need to make sure that the system is properly in place to deal with them and not over-treat them and not over-sentence them. But at the same time, I'm big on accountability. I think sometimes we do have to sit our people down and see if we can get to them. We just can't get them run loud. If you ask me, we got a military. I think, if they don't want to get out the streets, let's send them to the military. We have, just being
They used to do it.
I wish I had the opportunity to go to the military.
They used to do it a long time ago.
That's a good suggestion, man.
They
You ready to shoot?
do it a long
You want
time
to shoot
ago.
somebody? Go to war.
We got to set that discipline, because again, it's not fair that we have innocent people getting hurt in the community. But again, that just takes that transparency, Paul, between the community and the police department. Why would the people in the community want to step up and help the police department do their job when we can't even have them to do their job the fair way when it comes down to doing simple stuff as arresting somebody? So before we can stop the violence, and I know, I'm big on black crime. We need to stop that and all that. But we got to have some real transparency, and our leaders got to really be able to sit at the table and be accountability, because I don't think it's fair for the community to step up, speak out. Some people, they want to speak out, but they're scared to speak out. But our police departments are not doing the right thing about, there are people that's in there. So it's accountability on both sides, but we got to have that transparency. And if we have that transparency, I think we can stop some of this, this crime inside of our city.
All right, brother. Enough said. Drops the mic. Marquis McKenzie. My little brother, man. Love you, man. Keep up the good work. All right.
You too, Paul. I love both y'all, man. I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's
Thank you,
what
brother.
it's always about. And that's what I'm looking back and find other people that I can uplift to share their stories. It's not all about me. You guys recognize it's not all about y'all. So as soon as we get that spotlight, we got to be looking for others we can shine that light on. So I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
All right, brother. Have a good one, okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right.